Is this thing on?
All right, let's get this show on the road.
Okay. The Coffee and Carving Show, episode number 31.
Hey, everybody. Welcome to episode number 31. And without further ado, you see, we got 4 of us today. And then there were 4. So we're going to welcome Tom and Blake.
Hello,
Hey,
everybody.
guys. Hey, how are y'all?
Tom Bates and Blake Lunsford. Also the team for the International Association of Wood Carvers.
You got it.
.com. Anyway, both good guys, good carvers, and we just gotta stop right there because I got something to say. Son, Mom, do you think the kids at school are gonna pick on me again this year? Mom, don't be silly, someone your own size. Why would you say that?
Oh, that's so mean.
They get better and better, Doug.
Thank you, though. It's nice to, I will say from my perspective, it's nice to not be the only one who isn't laughing. So
I was afraid that you weren't gonna get it,
fair enough.
but you seem to have got it.
Fair enough.
But
So do these come straight from a book, or they're like right off the top of your head? You can't give your source out, I guess.
listen, when I find a good one, I keep it. That's all I can say.
Fair enough.
Like yesterday, I went to buy some honeybees and went to the beekeeper and I ordered 12 and I got 13. And I said, how much do I owe you now? And she goes, don't worry about it. That's a freebie.
Oh,
my
no.
That's
No?
bad.
Oh,
Ben?
thank you, guys.
No.
Thanks for having us.
All right. Thanks for coming out. And
Yep. Appreciate it. Join us next Saturday.
where can we join you there, Blake?
I don't know.
Well, I'll answer that. Everyone can join us every Saturday on Zoom, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Zoom number 310-460-3575.
Good job, Tom. You're hired.
Yeah.
There you go.
We don't have like a Zoom number. We should I think would be a fun as a format to have a guest on every once, a couple times a year or something, just a random guest from a drawing, like a draft.
You should do that.
Did we freeze? Did we freeze? I think
Is
he
this
likes
thing
it.
on?
Yes.
Oh.
Oh man. Yeah.
Well, as we do, let's just do a quick round of what have we been up to before we dive in and grill our guests.
Yeah. Let's do that. Well, what's you been up to, Doug? What you been
Well,
doing?
I've been talking long enough. Let's jump over to Tom. What have you been up to?
Sure.
Well, besides our Saturday meetings, I've actually dove back into the carving recently, and I've gone down a sort of rabbit hole, if you will. Really following John Overby and kind of trying to get into his flat plane. I rewatched our video with John and just, took it from there. And this kind of ties into what you guys were talking about with Alec and Vic, and then Doug in your video last week of going from, better or good to better. And, just to share, and this is, you guys always talk about how it's good for YouTube, but,
Yep.
4 years ago, I did something similar to, this bunny, standing on an apple crate. And this is me today kind of trying to go down, the John Overby flat plane,
There you
change
go.
a thing, but I can't keep those planes flat, but it's something to practice. And, it's something I've been working on. So that's me lately.
That's super
It's
cool.
fun.
Yeah, it's hard
And
to
it
see
is
the planes in the video, but I'm assuming that they're there.
They're very subtle, and I have a hard time of not rounding them over.
Yeah.
I would love, John's are so flat, and there's the angles, you can see them all, and I just have a hard time not taking the edges off. I don't know why.
Right. Yeah, it's something that I played with for a little while, trying to leave like, maybe not so much flat plane, but sort of like geometrical carvings where you do a face, but you leave, if you'd almost like, what I had to do is go round because I almost don't know how to do anything but that. Like you say, I struggle with it. And then I'd come back in and then intentionally try and carve some planes in. That helped me. But I know that's kind of beside the point, right? Because the whole idea is to keep it like the tooled finish. But that's hard for me. But anyway,
And that's
cool.
kind of that's the way Ryan Olson teaches it is to try to get some symmetry, I guess, first.
Yep.
And then put in your planes and make sure that they balance on both sides.
Right.
Yeah.
Ferris talks about that too. Jeff Ferris I literally taught a chainsaw carving class, and Jeff happened to be there, and he walked downstairs from the his bedroom in the shop above us in this shop, Abby Peterson's shop, and he was like, well, one thing you can do to help you with your proportions, and he was just throwing out all this advice that was better than anything I had to offer. So that was awesome. But yeah, he was saying that, right, just even in these realistic portraits, he'll keep everything super plain, with obvious planes so you can see the shapes. It's easier to see a flat plane if it's out of proportion than like round surfaces on either side or out. So
that's what Tom's been up to.
Good job, Tom.
Good job, Tom. Go ahead, Blake. You got something? What have you been working on?
Yeah, for me, I went to the Charlotte show a couple of weekends ago. So a lot of the time that I was spending carving was getting ready for that show, and I always look forward to going down there and doing the time carving competition. I don't know if you I think maybe Alex done it, maybe on a bigger scale. But in Charlotte, they give you a block of wood in an hour and a half.
Really?
And you see what you can come out of that block of wood in an hour and a half. Yeah, so it's trying to keep your digits out of the way, not cut yourself, and also try to come up with a piece that you can actually tell what it is. So did this guy, I don't know, lighting's kind of bad.
Yeah, that's super.
Wow. Yep.
It's awesome.
Yeah. And then I ended up doing a full guy on the second day. So
wow.
That's in the
just
time.
doing that. What's that?
That's all in an hour and a half?
Yeah, an hour and a half. Everybody
Wow.
gets the same piece of wood. So the first day you get a 2x2x6. The second day they gave us a 1.5 inch by 1.5 inch by 6.
Jeez.
Wow.
Yeah, they sit down in front of you and say, "Here, have at it." Of course, the judges are carving with you while you're carving, and then they put them all on the table and judge them. So it's a fun thing. I look forward to that probably more than just putting stuff in the contest.
Yeah, no, that sounds like fun.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
To get that much done in an hour and a half is absurd, man. That's seriously insane. In the round?
Yeah, we had about 15 carvers each day participating in it. So yeah, a lot of fun. Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one
about
of these years I want to make it down there.
Yeah, we need to all converge on the show somewhere.
Was this the show that Vic was competing at and won best of show in?
He did. Yeah, I saw him come in on Sunday, I guess, to come in and pick up his stuff, but he wasn't there the whole weekend. He just came in like Sunday afternoon. You got to be there at 4 to pick it up. So I saw him as we were getting ready to leave.
Okay. That's
yeah,
awesome.
but he carved this a girl with the moon behind it and stuff. Her hair.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw that piece or not, but it was pretty amazing. Good stuff.
Did you see that one, Doug?
No, I didn't. No, I'll have to check it out.
It's super, super awesome. He sent me a picture right around the time he won at that show. And I don't know if I can find it, but he was working on it. Last I was visiting him in the shop, and it was like a crazy, crazy good carve. I mean, I was like blown away. So yeah.
And it was huge too. It was, I don't know what the size was, but it was a big piece.
Massive, like a massive piece. So super, super cool. Yeah. Are you looking for it?
Yeah, I was going to try to find it. Yeah, I've got a picture of it here. I don't think it'll show up on the screen, but
yeah. Yep, there it is.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Yeah,
nice.
yeah.
That's crazy.
Yeah, he does some amazing stuff.
It's just insane.
Yeah, but we had about 150 carvers there. I don't know how many carvings that they put in the show, but I think it's the biggest show on the East Coast. So fun time.
Did you get to meet the guy from Wilson Wildlife? Oh, that's his Instagram handle. I can't remember his name.
It doesn't
I
ring a
know
bell.
who you're talking
Okay.
about. And I
Oh,
can't
do you?
think of it either.
Yeah. I'm a huge fan. So just curious. He messaged me about going. So I'm not sure if you ran into him, but he does these carvings. I mentioned him a couple episodes back. They look like they're transitioning out of like like a, from a piece of bark into a bird. It's really awesome.
Nice.
Yeah. His
I know
name's
what you're
Chris
talking about.
Wilson.
There you go.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Yeah. Wilson Wildlife Sculpture.
Yeah. So good, man. He is awesome.
That's where the daily wood carving comes in. I've got all these guys in my head. I just can't. They pull their name out at the drop of a dime.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Sounds like the encyclopedia of wood carving.
Yeah.
Got everybody.
What about you,
That's
Doge?
it for me. Yeah, Doug, what have you been doing?
Well, I was last week I kind of hinted to I was doing a little separate little project I didn't want to talk about yet, but I started talking about it. All I was doing was I was making all these little tiny miniature carvings that were kind of a nod to the old Jack Price days, where the goal was that they all fit into a film canister, and I was just going to call them all pocket carvings. So I think for the listeners of our podcast, then you'll know that I have summer fodder for videos, more of a traveling type tutorials that you can just take a tiny piece of wood. I don't know that I'll stick with the little tiny piece of wood, but maybe just 1 inch by 2 inch, 1 inch square by 2 inch tall. But yeah, we're gonna do some tiny carvings, like on the go pocket carvings. I had done the penguin a month or so back, and it seemed to have went really well, and people liked the smaller carvings. So I might go off on a little tangent for the summer. But otherwise, I did another video on YouTube, and that's with the little bunny bus that I was carving. So I never did make it to the cottonwood bark one yet, but I'm headed there. Right, that's my next project. But this is a fun little bunny, a little bit more not as goofy as I have made him in the past, but he's kind of a Peter Rabbit looking guy. So
yeah,
nice.
Yeah. So yeah, but otherwise not too much. Did some Easter Island heads.
Cool. I like that a lot.
Practicing for future videos, because I had done one in the miniature, and everyone kept asking about it, but he's stemmed off that one from soapstone that I probably did 2 years ago. And so yeah, we might see that in the future too, but that's about it, which is probably enough, because I feel like I did a lot of carving. But
so when you did
guys, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
When you did those minis, do you keep them that small, or did you do them on the stick like you did the penguin? Are you like at, a la Steve Tomaszek, really small piece of block of wood?
I actually I did not do that. It's funny, everybody seemed to be on the same wavelength that week, because Gene Messer put out videos about keeping them in a row on a block and just carving the tops off. But I was carving all these little ones because I had big plans to go a different direction about talking about this, but now I'm okay to talk about it, because the whole idea was I was going to make a whole little group of these little pocket carvings, and the whole idea was that you would just carry, that's your carving. And so that's why I didn't want to leave it 6 inches long. I just wanted it, this is your carving. You just open the lid and take out your little piece of wood and whittle away and put it back in your pocket. So, but definitely it's easier with a longer stick.
Hey, back to those island guys. Were those stained, or is that paint that you put on this?
So this is butternut. This one's butternut. And that's just has a feed and wax mix on it.
Is it okay? No stain at all.
No stain at all. And then this one here is about 3 shades of paint, and then I flecked it with black and white spots to kind of give it a bit of a stone look.
Gotcha.
Doesn't really show up very good on that, but.
So Doug's showing his Easter Island carvings, two different types of finish on these butternut. And
yeah.
What was the other wood that you said that one was butternut too?
The other one was basswood.
Basswood, yeah.
But I just painted it up,
Nice.
shadowed it, put some shades in it. But that's enough about me. What has Alec been up to?
This earlier this week, of course, coming back from visiting Abby, I started to poke around a little bit with this chainsaw carving, this Native American head, the bust that I did for the class. And usually when I'm teaching, I'm not getting very much done because I'm mostly trying to help people with stuff. And this class, it was a long class and there were only 3 students. So I had a lot of time. So I got to do, I got pretty far, actually farther than I've probably ever gotten on a carving in a class. And it was just the most fun I've ever had teaching. And but part of what I was doing this week was playing with something that, again, to bring up Ferris, he was talking about when he came down to visit our workshop. He was saying that the way that he carves bases, and have you guys seen Ferris's work or his bases at all? Can you picture what I'm talking about?
I've got one of his books. Yeah.
That's great. Great. So one of his kind of feature things is he'll do these busts and, you know, naturally no arms. And so the chest kind of like transitions into this base form. And a lot of times the form will point back in some way to the carving. And he was saying that's very much intentional. Like when you look down at a base and it's just a block, he says like your eye, the corners of that block point to the ground. And so it draws your attention right to the ground. Right. And so when you add movement to the base, and an upward movement, ideally, you pull the viewer back up into the carving. And so part of what I was playing with is, see if that's true. Is it true? Like when I do that and, maybe what kind of shapes are conducive to getting your eyes back to the piece? Is that a real, thing? So playing with that a little bit. And so it's kind of hard to tell in the picture here, but I was working on, a base. So this is what it kind of rounded, now you can't really see the forms in that picture, but I was playing with some shapes. Of course, this is how it started. Let's see if so block, just basically a block, which is cool. But trying to give it a little bit more movement and just testing things out, see if I like it. Part of me though, kind of likes the way the base looked, just a big block.
Yeah, no, that looks good
Nice.
in the audio.
Yeah.
So yeah.
And that cedar really lends itself. It adds a unique, color to it. The color of your cedar down there.
Yeah. Right. No, I liked it. And so I was a little sad to cut it off, but either way, I'm learning. And so I filmed that. As you can tell, I can film that process and put it on the internet. So, actually it's about, no, it is. And I called it on Fundamentals Woodcarving, I called it All About That Base.
Boy.
Yeah. It's bad. It's bad. I know.
Tom, have you seen cedar that color your way?
No, I've only ever seen the cedar that color when Alec and I were talking back and forth about building saunas, because we were building saunas around the same time, and he sent me a picture because ours, like up here, is like almost pure beige.
Yeah.
Yeah. I forgot that you have a sauna.
Yeah, we were building it around the same time, so I think we were kind of going back and forth a little bit. Yeah.
Well, and that was super exciting for me to see, because it's like, who does that? First of all, like not a lot of people do that. And most of my friends are like, so Alec, how does it feel to be a stupid idiot? Like that's while we're in the sauna, like, how does it feel to have spent this much money on this luxury you don't need, you don't need. But seeing you do it was like, hey, see, I'm not that dumb.
No, don't regret it at all.
Yeah. Right. No, it's super nice. Yeah. Do you use it often?
Through the winter, we were in it every day.
Wow.
Yeah, you don't want to see the electrical bill though.
No, neither do you want to see mine. Mine got up to almost $500.
You beat us.
Did I? Yeah. So, but I also had I counted 4 space heaters running 24/7 to heat my house and shop. Winter was rough. So, oh man.
Oh, well, we brought you guys on because of what you do for the carving community with the IAWCPQRS International Association of Woodcarvers. But obviously you have your own stories, and Tom is also running the daily woodcarving on Instagram as well. So we'd love to hear your story and how you guys got started carving. If you want to give a quick little story of starting to where you are today.
Yeah. Okay. So I just actually looked it up. It was 2017. I broke my foot playing hockey. So, naturally I needed something to do because I can't just sit around and watch TV because I work construction and, I can't just sit around. Couldn't go to work. So got a knife and found this funny looking fella on YouTube who was carving, I think they were called hillbillies or something like that.
Okay.
So anyways, go down this rabbit hole of learning how to carve Doug's hillbilly. And, now it's 5 years on, haven't looked back. But in the beginning of that, I decided I got to start cataloging things I'd love to learn how to carve. And here we are 5 years later. I just hit 30,000 followers on Instagram with, I think, 1,800 posts or something like that. So in 5 years, I haven't missed a day of posting, the everyone else's work, people that I'd love to, be able to carve like one day. So
yes, I only saw probably one other picture of mine on there out of 1,800. Wow.
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 Congratulations, Doug.
I challenge you to go all the way back to the first post, Doug, and tell me who the first post was.
I'll have to do that in my free time.
Yeah, that's my story about getting into wood carving.
So did you obviously it took, and what was it that you liked the most about it? Like, what was your
well, I like you
the draw?
Yeah, I work with my hands and always have, and I've never been one to just sit down and just veg out. I mean, as much as I do sometimes, I can't do it for hours and hours, but this is kind of one of those things that calmed the mind, calms the hands, and it gives you something to do. And I travel with it now. I put a stick of wood in the truck and a knife, and I carve before I get to work, or I carve after work, or when I'm waiting for somebody. So yeah, it just
Cool.
Yeah,
I like that.
Yeah.
Did you consider yourself artistic in any way?
not at all.
Right.
I'm like most of the wood carvers that we talk to that can't draw a stick man.
Yep.
And I look to others for inspiration, like I said, like yours and, Blake Santa. I think I started carving Blake Santa last year, and I carved about 15 of them. Wow. So I look to others to learn from and they draw inspiration, and then, round the corners off.
Exactly. Yep. You and me were the same. How about you, Blake?
So my story goes back to probably 2002. And I kind of stumbled upon carving, really stumbled upon it. I was in Dollywood, which I don't know if you all know what that is, but it's an amusement park here in Tennessee, owned by Dolly Parton. And in Dollywood, there's a wood carving shop there that you can go in and actually see carvings and stuff. And so the day that I remember it pretty well, I walked in there, and, there's all these carvings on the walls and on tables and stuff. And there was a guy in the back, and he was back there carving. So I thought I'd go back there and check out what he was doing. Went back there and started talking to him. And he's like, yeah, we offer classes. If you want to come in and take a class, you can come in and spend 2 days with me, and you'll end up doing 3 spirit faces in 2 days. And, you should have a pretty good carving by the time you're done. So left there, thought about it some, thought, I'd really like to do that. I can take a weekend and come back and do that. I thought it would be a one-time thing. So scheduled the class, went back. Ended up doing the 3 carvings. They turned out great. Took them home with me, set them on the shelf. Didn't think another thing about it. A couple of years later, my wife's diabetic, and she became pregnant with our only child. And diabetics spend a lot of time sleeping, resting, especially when they're pregnant and not supposed to do stuff. She wasn't on bed rest, but the doctor kind of encouraged her not to do a whole lot. And so I decided at that point, hey, maybe I want to get back into carving. So I went down to Charlotte and went to a woodcraft store down there, picked up a set of flex cut tools and a block, and just started carving there. Didn't really do anything with it at that point, but decided to hop on the internet and try to find something that I could, some way I could learn. So I found the Wood Carving Illustrated forum. And that was way back, in early days before Facebook came along and Instagram and all that stuff. Got on the forum and met some guys that were local that had the same interest that I did. And they were like, oh, yeah, we're going to have a carving show in Hickory, North Carolina, and we're going to have a carving show in Charlotte, North Carolina. You ought to come to those shows. And they were both pretty close together. So ended up going to those shows and meeting some of those guys that I'd communicated with online, never met in person, but went down there and met them in person. And some of those guys that I met them are some of my best friends now. It's people that I still, I was talking about going to Charlotte earlier. some of those same people I see in Charlotte every year, or up until COVID, and we still get together and carve quite a bit. So kind of catapulted me into wanting to get better and learn stuff, and going to those shows every year, picking up tools and knives and books and that kind of thing. So been doing it a while, but really enjoy it.
It's awesome. That's a great story.
Yeah, no, that's
it's got to feel nice. It's got to feel nice to have friends who are also wood carvers. I imagine that would be like such a positive thing to experience.
Yeah, and I credit a lot of those guys in pulling me along, because some of those guys just kind of took me under the wings and said, come on, I'll show you this stuff, and come by to the house and I'll teach you what I'm doing and that kind of thing. And it was, otherwise I probably would have put it down and never picked it back up. So,
right. Yeah, well, it's hard to carry another wood carver for too long on a podcast. Oh, sorry. What?
Yeah, no, Doug's always trying to show me things that I'm, it's creepy.
Yeah. You've come a long way there, Al,
Yeah. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
Yep. I'm becoming, just a real man. So
that's right.
Well, somehow this is a strange dynamic, because on the left side of my screen is Canada, and on the right side is the Americans. And here's the funny thing about the internet is how none of us have ever met.
That's right.
You two are partners, and I know Alec, but
I appreciate you not calling us partners, though.
I know.
Those poor guys.
But anyway, what I wanted to get to is how did the International Association of Woodcarvers start? How did you guys decide, or what was the thought process, and how did you even meet each other to go there with the idea?
Well, you know me on Instagram, Doug. I'm annoying and I bug people, especially like you for one. I've bugged you for a long time. Same with Blake. I bugged Blake all the time, but Blake, being the nice guy that he is, he always answered my questions about carving.
So, not like me. He is a better friend.
But anyways, I hounded him for the longest time, and we talked back and forth about starting and doing something. And it was the beginning of the pandemic that Blake had this great idea to do live meetings, because we couldn't meet. And, Blake has said, like, he goes to shows. I've never carved with another carver. I've never been to those things. So I knew nothing about shows. So this is, Blake came up with this fantastic idea.
That's awesome. I had no, that's a great question. Yeah. Sorry.
We originally talked about doing a podcast, so it was going to be kind of this format, really more just recording and sticking it out on the internet, talk about carving and see where it went.
There's no way you're going to do a format like this, Blake.
Well, probably less than this. Yes, probably less than that.
A little bit more professional, maybe, I believe. But go ahead. Sorry to interrupt.
Yeah, we decided to reach out to some carvers that we knew, and some of them were quite well known. Like Larry Green was our first person, and he's been carving 50 years. And some of these big name carvers jumped on board with it and said, "Yeah, let's do this. Let's see where it goes." So we've been pretty fortunate to have some good presenters come on. That's allowed us to build a community that seems to continue to thrive. So it's been good.
Yeah, one of the things that we really tried to encapsulate was these stories and these tips and tricks that all these carvers had. And one of the things that we really want to do is draw a younger audience in and keep carving going, because one of the things, we're probably like young carvers. Most of the carvers are retired guys. They've been at it for a long time. So we want to keep these stories around as long as possible.
It's true. I think we are the 4 youngest people to have ever been interested in carving.
Don't forget James Ray Miller.
That's right. That's all right. Yep. No, all kidding aside, it is truly it is a little bit geriatric sometimes. It's true. So,
but it's amazing to see some of the people that come on. I mean, we're seeing a lot of younger carvers coming on and asking questions, and are interested just because they've ran across it on YouTube or whatever. So.
Well, for the listeners, run us through just a Saturday Zoom call. Now, if you can't be on the Zoom call on the Saturdays, they're recorded and they're put on YouTube. Correct? So you,
Yeah, we take every meeting that we do, and we decided this back in the beginning that we would record them. We knew that everybody couldn't meet on 3:00 p.m. Eastern Saturday afternoon, so let's put them out there so that people that miss it can come back and watch them. And it kind of worked out as a good format for us. So
yeah. No, that's the thing about being international. I know when I've done live streams, to me, the perfect time is like 7 or 8 o'clock at night. And then you got being international. The internet is huge. It's the world, and people are sound asleep and our prime time for us. So yeah, that's a good idea.
Well, just to show how international we are, we've had people sign on from Japan. And now this is 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So we've had people live from Japan, which I think it was the middle of the night for that guy. We often have some people from Germany, Spain, and there's quite a few in the UK that show up every week. So
there's a lot of Australians too.
Yeah.
We had a presenter from Germany the other day.
That's great.
I have more viewers from the UK than Canada. So,
wow. Most of my views seem to come from my hometown, surrounding kind of my home.
Mom and dad.
Yeah.
Mostly your house.
Yeah. And what's odd is my hometown is comprised of 300 odd people, only one of whom knows who I am. So I'm not sure. Or my mom, I guess my dad too. So yeah, I don't know. Confusing.
Do you play your videos on replay every day?
I think my mom might, is what I'm.
Well, the good thing is now that you're growing up and bringing on a fiance, you have a whole new spring to draw from and get more views.
That's right. That's true. I can get her replaying stuff. Thank you. I appreciate that.
Yeah, congratulations.
Thank you. It's very exciting. It's awesome. Yeah, it's one of the other things that you talk about, getting younger people involved and getting folks from all over the world into carving. I think the community aspect of any, given hobby, but carving in particular is what draws me to carving. Like I was talking about it last week, and I leave Abby's house, a friend of mine, Abby Peterson. And when I've spent a day with him, I'm home and I'm jazzed about carving. All I'm thinking about is carving. And so it's like, I think part of the joy of what you guys are creating is you're creating that energy, you're creating that positive feedback loop. People get really into carving through you guys, and Doug does the same thing. And so it's awesome to see that.
Well, the variety is fun too, that there's so many avenues that people can go down, and really, really shows how vast the carving world really is.
Yeah, we've catered a lot to the caricature world, but we've had spoon carvers on there, and we'd love to have more. We actually have a guy coming on in 2 weeks, I believe, to do a kuksa. He's going to carve a kuksa live, but we've had everything, and we don't turn anybody away. Bark carving, caricature carving, doesn't matter. That's what we're all about.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
So one other thing I was thinking about in terms of, topics for today and questions to ask you guys. Well, and actually, Tom, you alluded to it earlier, is talking about the importance of collaboration in carving. And, I just mentioned Abby, I wrote a little article for a friend of mine named Dr. David Strubler. He's a writer and a great guy I've interviewed on my other podcast. And he talked about the importance of interdependence on that podcast. And it's kind of his whole MO, like his whole purpose in life is to talk about how, especially in Western civilization, Western culture, we don't rely on each other as much as maybe we once did. We aren't as connected as maybe we once were face to face. The front porch model of living is kind of gone. Like most people don't really know their neighbors in favor of following somebody who they've never met. Right. And so one of the things he talks about is the positive effects of collaboration with other people in person, real interconnection or virtual like ours. Right. And, the idea is that when two people come together, they can create something that's greater than the sum of their parts. Like as an example, when Abby and I first met, we did a collaboration because he was like, man, I think it'd be really cool if we did some sort of like, hour-long challenge. You could do a full bust And I'm over here like, what is he talking about? An entire life-size bust of a face, in an hour. He's like, man, I think we can do it. Like, you can do the head. I'll get everything ready. So we roughed this thing in 20 minutes. We were filming it. And I spent the remaining 40 minutes. And by the end of it, we were staring at this thing. We were both so jazzed because he couldn't have done that in an hour if he had an hour. There's no way in heck I could have done that if I had an hour, right? There's just absolutely no way. It would have been 6 to 8 hours for either of us to do that carving. But because we both were working on it, it was just we were psyched out of our minds. And so sometimes, collaboration, it's like look at the Beatles, look at the melding of voices that, those guys created something way bigger than just them, So it's like, what I'm trying to say is you guys are like the Beatles.
Yeah, that's what I wanted.
Yeah. You guys are my Beatles.
I'm your Ringo.
I was hoping more Simon and Garfunkel, but whatever. We'll go with that.
Yeah, I guess the wood carving is more conducive to the chiller vibe. So,
Yeah.
Well, I guess they've all broken up by now. So, I mean, your feature's not looking good.
True.
Well, having said that, and I'll throw this in there. This is our 2-year anniversary that's coming up Saturday. So we've been going strong for 2 years. We started back at the beginning of COVID, and it's a pretty big deal for us because we didn't know how long it was going to last. The initial thought was, let's do this through COVID because people weren't getting together, and now all of a sudden people were able to get together, and we're still doing it. We've had people reach out to us and say, "Hey, we want you all to continue to have these meetings," and so we're pretty stoked on the stuff that's coming up, in the next few weeks. So it's
well, let's talk about that, because COVID is one thing, Zoom is another thing. How have you seen even you've taken classes, and how have you seen the internet changing the whole way people learn now?
Well, you can handle that. Like you've taken classes online.
Yeah, so I've taken advantage. I've tried to take advantage of the available time, I guess, during COVID to take classes. And Dave Stetson and I have gotten a pretty good relationship, and so I've sat in on 2 or 3 of his classes. And I think he said it best in that he doesn't have to leave the house. He doesn't have to get a hotel. He doesn't have to travel. He doesn't have to get a plane ticket to teach. He can have 60 students in a class at one time, and everybody's seeing the same thing. So usually he does 3 weekends of classes, 2 days each weekend, so 6 days. And you're able to see everything that he does during that whole time. So if you go to a live class and you're sitting with an instructor, especially in caricature carving, they're going to carve with you for 10 minutes and they're going to move on to the next person. And then you're stuck kind of carving by yourself. But in these Zoom classes, you can really just sit down, take it all in. They record them, they put them back out on the internet so you can go back and rewatch them. And it's really pushed my skills, I know. And, it's a good opportunity for people to take advantage of it and go out and learn when they can't get out, or they can't make it to, Arizona where Dave lives to be able to take classes. So.
Do you see that as a going forward, like as the new teaching, or do you think there's going to be a return to the group teaching like it used to be, or it may never be the same? Or
I think it's both. I know the Renegade just got together down around Nashville, and I think they had over 60 students down there. Okay. And so I think people are interested in getting together and meeting and talking and learning together. But again, Dave Stetson said, if I never leave the house again, I can teach here and make as much or more money than I would on the road, because if I have a class out on the road, I may have 12 students, and then in class virtually, I can have 60.
Yeah.
So there's some instructors that have no reason to leave, and they can sit at their house and carve and teach people at the same time. So, yeah, I think it's probably here to stay as long as Zoom stays here, or if there's some kind of format that they can use other than Zoom. I think it's here to stay.
Right.
Yeah, and hopefully we get some hybrid models out there where you get some guys that actually do like to carve, or because I've never carved with somebody, but I'd love to sit down with somebody and have that one-on-one, and actually because it's hard sometimes to see through a camera angle. You watch some of our videos and you're kind of like, or even like watching someone carve and you're trying to figure out how they're holding their knife and whatever, right? So hopefully we get some hybrid models of that. But yeah, I think Zoom's here to stay.
Yeah,
for
sure. I'd love to. I'd love to take. There are a lot of people in it's Italy that I've been following for a while that I would absolutely kill to take an in-person lesson from. But I'd jump at an online thing too if they had it. Right. It's just a matter of
Right.
them putting it together. And but yeah, no, it's definitely a viable way. One thing I think we've talked about is I've seen that a lot of the students are actually progressing further and have progressed further over COVID because they're actually doing the work. The
Right.
teachers aren't. And so I've noticed it's kind of influenced the way that I teach now. And I've gone and I've taught a couple of classes since COVID has started to taper off, and I don't touch their carvings very much at all, very little. And it's awesome to teach and not have to worry about making 12 carvings, right? Just make one and teach. So
Well, and I've really heard that a lot of students like the fact that their instructor doesn't carve on their piece, that they actually have to do it.
yeah,
But in some classes, a lot of students like to come in and have an instructor carve their piece. They can go home and say, "Oh, look what I did," even though the instructor did the majority of it. So it's kind of a double-edged sword for some students. But you're right. If somebody wants to learn and actually apply what it is that they're learning, it's the best opportunity because they're carving the whole thing.
yeah, right, yeah, exactly. Yep. Yeah, it's definitely a new landscape. For me, when you say talking about, Dave, it makes me question, how much the internet is, and the landscape of carving has changed, and teaching has changed because, of course, a part of my income comes from teaching carving, and I've taught in person, for most of my, adult working life, and even into my teenage years, 16 on. And I have enjoyed online teaching. And like, Dave talks about, it's so fun to be able to just not have to leave your studio. But
Right.
there's an element of teaching in person too that I do enjoy. Just it's something that I'll probably continue to do, but just on a smaller scale and maybe locally. I'm thinking personally, I'm thinking more about doing things here in the studio, and then also there we have a clubhouse at the lake that I live near, hosting events there. Just doing maybe 2 or 3 times a year, an in-person workshop, and then moving to mostly online outside of that. But that's a future dream goal for me. So
Yeah, I'd be interested in that.
yeah.
But then I'd have to go to your house. So.
Yeah.
Thankfully, the borders are still closed, right, Doug?
Do you know what the rules are right now, Tom? Because I have no clue whatsoever.
Not a clue.
I think I can go one way, but I'm not sure if I can get back, or vice versa. So,
Well, we wouldn't want to keep you, Doug, so you'd have to go back.
good point. Good point.
Yeah. Right.
Well, Alex got his guitar out.
Uh-oh.
Is this where we sing, Blake?
I think this is it. Yeah, go ahead, Tom.
Hey, Tom.
You lead,
okay,
I'll follow.
Tomorrow is a very special day.
Sure
Let's
is.
all get together and sing happy birthday to Blake Lunsford.
Y'all are killing me.
Happy birthday. No, I'm just kidding.
I was like, what key is that, Doug?
No, I couldn't put you through that.
I wanted him to continue. Come on.
No, I can't. That's all I got. That was a stretch. That much.
Thanks.
Yeah.
I'll say thank you now.
Yeah.
Thanks for stopping.
Mailbag, everybody.
It's time.
We're just gonna get right to the mailbag. We don't really we don't think we need media. You guys, yeah, you're the media today. So I thought I'd read through. We got a lot of comments, and we always appreciate that. And wanted to quickly, Doug, do you wanted to thank some coffee people?
I would if we had coffee people this week, but we have no coffee people this week.
No
And
coffee people.
Yeah, but before I even complain, I will apologize for last week's horrible audio.
Oh, that's true.
That we missed the boat last week for some reason.
It's true.
It was awful. Even to me, it was bad. So
Yeah.
We're gonna keep a closer eye on it in the future.
That's right. We will do that indeed. So what I thought would be fun is the questions that, Tom and Blake can answer with us. You can join
Jump
in.
right in. Yep.
Yeah. You can chirp, you little birds. All right. This is Rob Acox says, Doug and Alec and Doug. Do either of you have any experience with or opinions about the Flex Cut MC 110 piece deluxe set mallet tools? Who's going to take that one? I don't know. No,
I
do not.
I had the smaller set at one time.
Yeah.
I don't really have an opinion either way. It's just that I went with the file tools and went with the full set, and didn't use them as much, but they are a great entry level tool.
Yeah. Right.
And I see people use them all the time, but I don't really have any real true mallet experience. Even my mallet experience is not really mallet experience, because the bark doesn't need the mallet. I'm just using them as the tool, so I don't have any real world whooping on them. So.
Yeah, right. And then he has a joke that what's funny is about this joke is we've gotten this particular joke more than once in like the last couple of weeks. So
I can guess what this was. Yeah,
right. Haven't we though? Yeah. So he says, "What two things does a skeleton order when he walks into a bar? A beer and a mop." Terrible. Yeah.
On account of he's just bones.
Yep.
Yeah, this slides right.
That was
all right. So this is a fun question, and I'm curious your guys' answer to this. If either of you carved, of course, he's speaking to us, but obviously to you as well, carved a tobacco pipe. I think it'd be a really cool project to carve a pipe, and then have a little puff on the porch. I don't smoke, so I'll probably puff and immediately vomit. Do you have any knowledge in this area? Types of wood finishes, good combos? Onward and upward, fellas. Michael. Anyone with experience in carving a pipe? I have. Yeah, I have. I did. My buddy Matt years ago was obsessed with smoking pipes. I think when you're 18, it's all you want to do is smoke tobacco products when you're from where we're from, which is the middle of nowhere. And so I carved him this design that he had drawn up, which was like it almost looked like a golf ball and a stick. And it wasn't very pretty, but it did the job. And it was pretty fun. I don't remember it being all that much of a hassle. But yeah, I've not done. Then the other ones that I have done were like ornamental, like decorative pipes. But what I can say about that experience is I've learned what pipes are good to smoke with. Briarwood is one that's supposedly like pretty hard to carve, but it holds up to heat really well. The one that I carved was maple, and I think you can for the most part get away with using maple and other hardwoods, but make sure and check into it, of course.
Maple is one of the best for us. Like briarwood is not here; it's from overseas, right?
Yeah,
and it's mostly the root. But the maple. So I've never carved a actual like a decorative pipe, but I've done a bushcraft pipe with a maple branch. And the good thing about a maple sapling or a maple branch is the pith can be hollowed just with a piece of wire and a drill. You can, if you put a little edge, you don't need an edge, but just like just squish the a copper wire. You can put it in a cordless drill, and you can actually spin that right through the pith if you keep cleaning it out, and that gives you the perfect stem. And then just drill into the bowl, and you have a little maple pipe. But I never carved one; I just made one out of sticks.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah, but there's some great pipes out there with carvings on them.
Oh yeah,
even the meerschaum is that like the white stone from the bottom of the sea and stuff like that, and yeah, there's some real artwork out there.
Yeah, no, but there's definitely I want to try eventually one day amongst other projects, right? With the copious free time that we have, it'd be awesome to do something like that. But who knows? Tim Whedon says, you mentioned spending time in Africa, Doug. Was this before you were bitten by the carving bug? And if you were already carving, then did you get to see any indigenous carving while out there?
Yeah, well, that was always been my example of when I always talked about the one tool option, because I always talked about the guy with the little skinny ads where he carved everything in the ads. But that was just when I got into the city. But the carving is a real cultural thing in Africa, and in the city there was actually for people. This was Burkina Faso, so there was actually a little kind of a co-op for the bush carvers to come in and sell their goods all in one place. But in the past too, I had not been a carver then, but I was in Bolivia a couple years ago, back in the Amazon jungle there, and there were some carvers there too, exact same styles almost. But I was a carver then, and I got to carve, and I left a little man with a fellow there, so that's cool.
That is cool.
Yeah, and I don't know what kind of wood either. It's kind of fun just to go into the jungle and pick up a piece of wood and carve something. So yeah, that was fun.
Never done that. No. Look at us, uncultured people. We're like,
Right.
I mean, have you guys ever carved in any tropical woods before?
Nope.
I have
They're
not.
shaking their heads. Nope.
Yeah. No. Yeah.
Basswood tropical.
Is basswood tropical? Hey, Google, is basswood tropical?
On the website sfrc.ufl.edu, they say the basswood family includes 35 genera and about 300 species of tropical and temperate plants.
There you go.
There you go. Oh, Doug, wake up.
I thought she was going to name all 35. I was like, oh, here we go.
Yeah. Genus species number 1.
Is that all the questions?
That's all the questions.
Oh, wow.
I know. Yeah. Thank you guys for watching.
Yeah. Thanks
That's
to Blake and Tom for joining us this week.
Yeah. Super appreciate
you.
it, guys.
30
Thanks for having
seconds. What's the show called?
Carving and
International
coffee.
Association. Yeah, that.
IAWCPQRTS.
LMNOP.
LMNOP. Yeah. Anyway,
All right,
take your
thanks.
vitamins,
Thanks,
everybody.
guys.
Thank you guys for joining.
Thank
See you
you.
next
Thanks,
week.
guys. Appreciate it.